We are now ready to start on the front of the cardigan. So we're going to start with the right side, and we're having to go back to the notes of the sizes to see where we are. So if you're doing the first size, you will have to chain 35. If you are doing the second size, you will have to start a chain of 39. And if you're doing the third size, you will have to do a chain of 43. So I will of course start with my lovely slip knot. I always leave a nice a tail end so I can sew it in later on. Alright, so slip knot as usual, and I am going to chain 35. So it depends what size you are doing, either 35, 39 or 43. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I will carry on until I have my 35 chains, and I will meet you there. So we will basically do what we did for the back, and I will only do this for this right front. After that you will know what to do, so I will probably just guide you through the rest of the tutorial. But in the meantime I will do this with the right front of the cardigan. So in the fourth chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, into this one, we will put in a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, into this chain here, a double crochet. And then we're going to put in a double crochet in every single chain. At the end of this row you should have either 33 stitches or 37 or 41. So I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so I have finished the first row, so I will turn my work and begin on the second row. We're going to chain 3, and this is going to count as a stitch, going to count as a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to skip this one because this is where the chain 3 comes from as the first double crochet. So into the next one, this one, we're going to do a front post double crochet. And into the next stitch we're going to do a back post double crochet. And into the next one, a front post double crochet. And we're going to alternate the front post and back post until the very last stitch. When you get to the end, into the turning chain, you will just add a normal double crochet into there. And I will meet you at the end of this row and I will show you. I am almost at the end of this row and I have got 3 stitches left. So in the next stitch right here I will put in a back post double crochet. Let's see if that will help a little better. I think this is better. Okay, so in this stitch here we will put in a back post double crochet, and in this stitch here we will put in a front post double crochet, and in the turning chain right here we will put in just a normal double crochet. And there we are. That concludes row 2. Begin row 3. We turn our work, chain 3, and into the next stitch. As you can see, it is now a back post double crochet as it is sticking out at the back. So right here we will put in a back post double crochet, as you can see there. So there, this is a back post double crochet, and into the next stitch it's facing right here, so it's going to be a front post double crochet, and into the next one a back post double crochet, and this one we're going to do a front post double crochet, and we're going to do this right to the end of the row. I am almost at the end of the third row, and I've got 3 stitches left. So into the next stitch we're going to do a front post double crochet, and into the next one we're going to do a back post double crochet, and into the turning chain we are just going to put in a regular double crochet. This is how it's looking so far. So what you're going to have to do is do another 3 rows of ribbing, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, we are now ready to start with the body of the right side of the cardigan. This is how it looks so far. So this is the back side. We will turn our work, and this will be the right side. And we are ready to begin with the 2-row repeat once again, and I've got my stitch markers at the ready. So we're going to start by chaining 1. So chain 1, and into this very first stitch we're going to put in a single crochet, single crochet, and I will add my stitch marker immediately. There we are. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip a stitch, and into the next one we're going to put in a single crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and into this one we're going to put in a single crochet, and we're going to do this right to the end of the row. So we are almost at the end of the first row of this 2-row repeat, and I've got 2 stitches left. So I'm going to chain 1, skip this stitch, and into the turning chain right here I will just put in a single crochet right here. We are now ready to start on the 2nd row repeat. So you're going to have to chain 1 and turn your work around. Remember, the chain 1 does not count as anything. So into this very first stitch here we're going to put in a single crochet. I will replace the stitch marker immediately, but of course this is completely optional. Okay, now you see there is a chain 1 space, and so into this chain 1 space you will put in a single crochet. Chain 1, skip that stitch, skip the single crochet, and into the chain 1 space put in a single crochet. Chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into the chain 1 space put in a single crochet, and you're going to do this to the end of the row. I am almost at the end of row 2, and I've got 1 single crochet, 1 chain 1 space, and 1 single crochet left. So we're going to chain 1, skip that stitch, and into the chain 1 space we're going to add a single crochet, and another single crochet on top of that very last single crochet. And then you're going to start rows 1 and 2 all over again. So I'm going to start row 1 with you guys, and then I will let you carry on. So chain 1, turn your work around. Into the very first single crochet, you're going to put in a single crochet. Replace the marker immediately, if you so wish, of course. Then you're going to chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into the chain 1 space, you're going to put in a single crochet. Chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into that chain 1 space, put in a single crochet. You're going to carry that on, and I'm going to do a few more rows, and I will be back to tell you how much you have got to carry on for until we get to the next level. Okay, so I have done a few more rows, and in total, to be exact, I've done 22 rows. So what you're going to have to do is, for the back, I have done 82 rows, and I have to do 10 rows less so we can start to shape the neck area. So in total, for the first 2 sizes, I'll try and zoom. There we are. For the first 2 sizes, you will have to do a total of 72 rows. So that is 36 repeats of row 1 and 2 pattern. And for the last size, you will have to do an extra 68 rows, which is a total of 34 repeats of row 1 and 2. When you've done all those rows, I will meet you back here and we will continue to shape the neck. I have now completed my 72 rows. You will have had to have done 72 rows for the first 2 sizes, and if you're doing a third size, you will have had to have done 68 rows. And so far this is how it looks, and this is the right side. So now what we're going to do is shape the neck area, which is right here, onto the next 10 rows for the first 2 sizes, or for the last size it will be over the next 14 rows. But it is very, very simple. So let's, without further ado, continue. So for the next 10 rows, the work we're going to do is for all sizes. For the first 2 sizes, after the 10th row, this is where we just cut our yarn and get on with the second side. But for the third size, I will tell you what to do after that. Okay, so let's carry on. So, on the next row, what we're going to do is we're going to start to shape the neck area. So you are not going to do any chains, because for the next 4 stitches we are going to do some slip stitches. So I am now going to remove my stitch marker. I do like my stitch marker. So in this first stitch we're going to put in a slip stitch. Don't do them too tight. You have to, make sure that later on you can go through those stitches. So here's one, and we're going to do that, and the next are the 3 stitches. Here we are. So it is a little bit of an awkward size garment to hold in front of the camera, but anyway, so I've done that once, and we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch right here. Then you're going to slip stitch in the chain 1 space. That's 3. And you're going to slip stitch into the single crochet. And that's 4. So now what you're going to do is you're going to single crochet in that chain 1 space. single crochet, and now place the marker. It really does help. And you're going to complete this row as usual. So chain 1, skip this single crochet and single crochet in the chain 1 space. Chain 1, skip this single crochet and into this chain 1 space do a single crochet. Chain 1, skip this single crochet and into the next chain 1 space do a single crochet, and do that all the way to the end. So I have finished this row now. There we are, and I am ready to start on the next row. And what you're going to do now is just basically do one regular row but end where the stitch marker is. So I will let you go ahead and do that, and I will meet you to do the third row. Okay, so I think I will definitely be writing the explanations to that in the description box below, because if my explanations are a little bit confusing, then hopefully at least you'll be able to read some of those explanations, and it might make things a little bit easier. So I am now ready to start on the third row, so I will turn my work, and the next two rows we will have to do those a total of 3 times. So what we have to do next is do not chain anything, but in the first stitch here you will do a slip stitch. In the very first stitch, a slip stitch, and a slip stitch into the next single crochet, slip stitch. And now we have a chain 1 space right here. Into that chain 1 space you're going to go ahead and do your first single crochet of the row. And now I'm just going to replace my stitch marker. And you're going to complete the row as usual. Chain 1, skip the next single crochet and into the chain 1 space do a single crochet. So you're going to do that all the way to the end. Then you turn your work around and you do another regular row until you get to that stitch marker right here. And I will meet you back there and start on row number 5. So we have now done 4 rows, and as you can see the neck is really starting to shape up nicely. So the last 2 rows we need to do another 2 times. So on row number 5 we're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to remove my stitch marker for now. But into that first stitch you're just going to do a slip stitch right here. Slip stitch, a slip stitch into the next single crochet, and into the chain 1 space you're going to do a single crochet. This is the first single crochet of the row, and I will put my stitch marker. There we go. Okay, and now just as usual, chain 1, skip the single crochet and into the chain 1 space put in a single crochet, and you're going to do that all the way to the end. Then you're going to turn your work around and do another row as usual. Now we'll meet you to do row number 7. And we are ready to do the final decrease row for this particular project on the right side of the cardigan. So once again, you see where there's a stitch marker there with a single crochet? You're just going to have to put in a slip stitch into it without doing any chains. Just slip stitch into it. There we are, and into the next single crochet do another slip stitch. And once again into the chain 1 space you're going to do your first single crochet of the row. There is the trusted stitch marker. Here we are. Okay, and then chain 1, skip the single crochet, and into this chain 1 space do a single crochet. Skip 1, skip the single crochet, and into the next chain 1 space put in a single crochet. And you're going to do that all the way along, and the next row you're just going to work as usual, and I'll meet you to do row number 9. So this is how it looks now, and for the next 2 rows, for the first 2 sizes, or for the very last size, you will have to do another 6 rows. But what we're essentially going to do is row 1 and 2 of the moss stitch, which is just the same as here. So you're going to chain 1 and put in a single crochet in the first single crochet right here. I'm gonna try something. I'm so sorry, you guys. The camera is not that great today. I think it's lightening and everything. So okay, this is a tiny bit better, I think. Maybe just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so in this first single crochet here you're going to do a single crochet. No decreases any longer, just a regular, just normal, as we did here in the back. So we did our first single crochet. Here is a single crochet, so we're going to chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into the chain 1 space we're going to put in a single crochet. I am not very happy with the camera today. It's not doing its job like I want it to. Autofocus? Okay. Right, so chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into the chain 1 space here put in a single crochet. So you're basically going to do, for the first 2 sizes, 2 rows, and for the last size you're going to do 6 rows in total. When you're finished with those rows, I will meet you there. So I have now completed the work on the right side of this cardigan, and here is the neck area, as you can see. And this is the shoulder, but this is the neck area. So there we are. This is it. And we are now ready to start on the left side. So what you're going to do is basically do your ribbing section. So if you must, just go back into the tutorial for the right side of this cardigan, and you will work your 6 ribbing rows, and then if you're doing the first and second size, I'm looking at my notes, I'm so sorry. You have to do 72 rows up to this stitch marker right here, and sorry, no, it's about to here, because here's the decreases. So do 72 rows, and if you're doing the last size you have to do 68 rows, and then we can begin on doing this decrease for the other side, which will be completely mirrored. So I will meet you as soon as you've done the other side, and we will work on this area together. Okay, so I think it's important to have a visual so we can understand exactly what we're doing. So here is the side that we've already done. This is the right side of the cardigan, and we're about to start on the left side, which is about here. So the first row what we are going to do is I will let you do a regular row, because we won't be able to start our decrease until we get to the end of this row. When you get to the end of this row and ready to start on row number 2, I will meet you back there. So until then, just start as usual, chain 1, single crochet in the first single crochet, then chain 1, skip the stitch and single crochet into that chain 1 space, and so on right until the end of the row. And I will meet you there and we can start on row number 2. Okay, so I am now ready to start on row number 2. And onto row number 2, we're essentially going to do the first row that we had for the decreases. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and into this very first stitch we're going to put in a slip stitch. And we're going to slip stitch 4 times. So in the chain 1 space you're going to put in a slip stitch. Not too tight, remember. And into this single crochet here you're going to put in a slip stitch. And into that chain 1 space you're going to put in a slip stitch. Okay, now we start our row as usual. There's a single crochet here. You need to put in a single crochet. Single crochet, and I will replace the stitch marker. And now we are immediately faced with a chain 1 space. So in that chain 1 space we're going to put in a single crochet. Chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into that chain 1 space put in a single crochet, and you're going to complete this row. We are now ready to move on to row number 3, and for the next 6 rows we're basically going to do a 2-row repeat 3 times. So the first row is basically just a regular row that we have done before. So you're going to chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch. There we are. I will replace the marker. I do find those helpful. Okay, and then chain 1, skip the single crochet, and into that chain 1 space put in a single crochet. I do hope that this is clear enough for you to see. Now chain 1, skip the single crochet, and into that chain 1 space put in a single crochet. You're going to do that all the way to the stitch marker, and I will meet you to do row number 4. Ready to begin row number 4, and into the first stitch you're going to put in a lovely slip stitch. And into that chain 1 space you're also going to slip stitch into it. And into this next single crochet here you're going to put your first single crochet of the row. Single crochet, and I will put in my lovely stitch marker. There we are. Right, into that chain 1 space you're going to put in a single crochet. Chain 1, skip that single crochet, and into that next one you're going to do a single crochet, and you're going to complete your row. After you've completed this row, you're going to repeat these last 2 rows another 2 times, and I will meet you when you've done all your decreases. We have now completed our decreases. There we are, as you can see. So all you need to do now for the first and second sizes is to do 2 regular rows, and for the third size you will need to do an extra 6 regular rows, and then cut your yarn but leave a nice tail so you can sew in the shoulder to the back. So this is how our work is looking so far. If you feel that you would rather have an extra couple of rows up here, this is absolutely optional. For me personally, I think this is enough for my neck area. But of course, this is absolutely up to you. If you want to add an extra couple of rows, please go ahead and your sides will be completed for now, of course, because we still have to do the button bands and the collar. But next on our agenda are the sleeves. So we are going to do both sleeves, both the same way. So I will show you how to do just the one sleeve, and then you can just rewind the tutorial and rewatch for the second sleeve. Extra little note, as I have just realized something, that if you're going to do an extra 2 rows for the neck area, it is important to add an extra 2 rows to the back of the cardigan too. So this is, as I said, completely optional, but it will be very important that if you add an extra 2 rows here, that you will have to add the extra 2 rows for the back too, so that the length of the cardigan remains the same, if that makes sense.